Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are, and welcome to Mini Indie Game Reviews, a place where I'll be reviewing indie games that are quick, sweet, and straight to the point. Today we're going to be looking at Sword of the Sea, which is the third title coming from the indie developer Squid Studios, with the first two titles being the majestic Abzu and the second game being the beautiful The Pathless. We did a review for both of these games, which you can check out for yourself. Links will be in the description below. Squid Studios was co-founded and is led by one Mr. Matt Navo, who also worked on another indie game developing studio known as That Game Studios. This studio was responsible for giving us games like Flower and the title that really started it all, Journey. Both titles was where Mr. Matt Navo was the art director for. That Game Studios also had this very fun game called Sky Children of Delight that's pretty dope. But today we're going to be rocking out with the PlayStation version of Sword of the Sea, so let's get into it. The story of Sword of the Sea is somewhat abstract to a degree, but it starts off with a single droplet lands on what appears to be a statue of a warrior named Wraith. This somehow animates it and brings it to life as if its awakening is somewhat prophetic. Along with this sword, also serving as a mode of transportation as it levitates above surface, he sets out and soon finds out that most of this world has become somewhat of a barren land. As Wraith explores more, he finds out that he has the ability to rejuvenate and restore life back to this world, but he's not alone. There are forces that will make themselves known that will want to help and also annihilate Wraith. So in retrospect, the future was to come rests on the soldiers of this quad protagonist. Sword of the Sea with an individual aspect is a clear example that Squid Studios is a masterclass when it comes to expressing an authentic style when it comes to showcasing its depiction of nature, and how vast an environment can be when it comes to the scope and level for detail. For those that have already been following the game developers' outings with Abzu and The Pathless, this comes to no surprise, seeing as though one can clearly see the inspirations coming from those games, and especially Journey being intertwined within this game's DNA. For example, surfing on the beautiful golden sands and viewing the peak of this mountain far off into the distance? Check. Seeing and being surrounded by ocean life composed of whales and a lot of fish rolling around? Check. Playing as a mute protagonist, going into different sections that are somewhat large in scale while being hunted by a large mechanical monster foretold by some legend? Check. Revitalizing or renewing the landscape by interacting with some mystical item resembling water? Check. Even finding yourself in some type of mystical temple shared by amongst all of Squid Studios. Check. Check. And check. Sword of the Sea takes all of these concepts and combines them together. What I find so captivating is that how these areas of land and sea are so separated, but conjoined all the same. What I mean is that when you're seeing sand, it's just that, but when it becomes marine life, a whole other universe seems to be seen as if it was another world stacked up on top of the one that was hidden beneath the one we see. There are also moments when the atmosphere and tone changes in which the game seems to become a little bit darker and serious. These moments usually occur when the element of fire is located somewhere nearby. In other words, it's as if the game is saying that fire is bad, but when it comes to water, it's a symbolic meaning of life. Speaking of life, the graphics again are just so awesome and cinematic. The way that the level shines when the sun hits it, or how magical during the nighttime when the lights illuminates the environment, it's just beautiful. This game is gorgeous. Sword of the Sea could be categorized as an action-adventure game that has the player traversing across large sections of interconnected biomes and figuring out where to locate and unlock doors to progress the story forward. That is the oversimplification of what to expect when playing this game. But let me take a step back and break this game down into the elements that makes up the gameplay for Sword of the Sea, which is composed of traversal, puzzle solving, and collecting things. But let's start off with what's the bread and butter of this game: traversal. The main character, aka you as the player, will be utilizing this large sword, which will be for the most part be serving as the hoverboard of sorts. So, you're about to go surfing. Fast and smooth is how it felt gliding across the different terrains, and what made things interesting is the haptic feedback of the PlayStation 5 controller that, depending on the type of surface that you're on, the player will feel the ridges of that surface through the controller. But it isn't just simply surfing that you'll be doing. The player has the ability to jump, double jump, levitate high into the air whenever you're by these reefs. be able to take a ride on animals whenever they're presented, grind on huge chains, and a whole lot more abilities that you will be able to obtain. Since your sword is essentially like a skateboard, you will use gravity and momentum to accelerate and score some big air. If you can pull this off, you'll be able to perform some tricks that'll make you look awesome. There are some environmental factors to keep in mind though. One, as I stated before, you're traversing across large sections or biomes, meaning this isn't an open world, more so like kind of like what Giant Squid Studios did within their previous games of Abzu and the Pathless. There will be boundaries, which comes in the forms of cliffs, which if you fall off, you'll just be brought back to where you was previously. And two, not all surfaces are safe to be riding on top of. Some can be hazardous to your well-being. Now on to the next element of Sword of the Sea, which is puzzle solving. In this case, it's just composed of finding and activating things like emblems, riding over things that light up and will transform the land into sea, and these spinning totems. Last thing that the player is going to be activating are these doors that, in order to do so, you must engulf yourself within this bubble of water and transform to this statue resembling a fish with his mouth wide open. The next and last element of Sword of the Sea when it comes to gameplay is simply this game being the collectathon of things. There are these items called Tetra that you'll find laying around. If you collect enough, you can give them to these guys that will be stationed damn near in almost every major area. One way of obtaining such can come within these time segments where you're put against this clock in order to try to score more than the number that is set for you. How you score big is performing tricks. Once you give them enough, they'll be able to help you unlock tricks that you can perform. There are also these secret shells that are scattered amongst the world. If you collect all of them, it will grant you access to a particular room, which is a huge payoff for those that have been a long-time Giant Squid Studios fans and have been playing their games. This would definitely raise a lot of eyebrows to those that are long-time investors into this game's lore. As far as the gameplay is concerned, this is fun and easy to pick up. It's really about that exploration side though. Such things like combat is somewhat little to non-existent here, with the exception of one boss that, well, if you want to call it that, is present. I would say Sword of the Sea is for those who just want to relax and enjoy beautiful art. The music for Sword of the Sea was done by the longtime collaborator Austin Winery, who was responsible for composing the music for Flow, Journey, Abzu, The Pathless, and many other titles from games to films. In Sword of the Sea, he pushes the boundaries and expectations of providing the atmosphere and feeling of a game to new heights. Always eclectic, thought-provoking, ambitious, emotional, and dare I say it, the true definition of a vibe that one might say, with the array of soft pianos, string instruments, and windwood instruments masterfully being played. Songs like The Veiled Sea and the melodic Swimming in the Sky embodies peace. When I first started listening to this OST, beginning with the first track entitled From a Drop of Flame, whose title itself essentially embodies what pops off within the beginning of the game, sets the tone. It has what sounds like a choir of angels echoing as the music came in slow from the piano, then ramping up with the orchestral strings, catapulting the listener into something unforgettable. On the song The Lost Grotto, I hear the serene vocals being the opening act to this very quiet and thoughtful piece. The Phoenix Boys choirs are the ones who are responsible for giving us the harmonic vocals. This choir is actually somewhat of an organization which is based out in Phoenix, Arizona, and it actually has various levels for which is utilized to show the range of each of their singers. Some of them even come in as young as 7 years old, and as they mature in their ability, their ranking within their class and the organization will rise as well. This is really remarkable within itself. I would highly recommend checking out the 16-track OST. I will include links within the description so you can hear it for yourself. The sound design is like you're actually within another world. I can literally hear the sound of every grain of sand being brushed aside when I ride over them. I I can also hear the abrupt breaking of the Arctic when hovering over ice. And of course the whooshing of water. If I was you, I would play this game if you have surround sound or some headphones plugged in. Sword of the Sea is a beautiful experience. Giant Squid Studios have done it again with captivating the beauty of natural environments and providing unique spectacles within their games. Sword of the Sea is a very well-earned addition to sit beside its predecessors. Within saying that, this title in comparison has a very noticeable difference when it comes to its playtime. I mean, there is a reason why it's getting a mini indie game review rather than a normal indie game review. This game is fairly short. A person can complete this game within a few healthy sittings. However, what could expand the playtime is if the player decides to collect all the secret shells and be a completionist. But other than that, the replayability of this game when it comes down to the player could be just for the sole purpose of experiencing some moments again and to better understand the connective tissue of the other titles. But that's up for the player to decide. But you can check this game out for yourself, which is now available on PlayStation 5 and Steam for PC for only like $30. We would wait for a sale, but if you got the bread and don't mind, go ahead. Until next time, peace y'all.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit up that notification bell, and I gotta go.